Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There are 114 new cases of COVID in Saskatchewan. 8 of those cases are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 53 active cases. There are 1,935 active cases province-wide. Our Northwest Zone still has the 3rd highest number of active cases in the province, behind only Saskatoon and Regina. 187 people are in hospital, including 19 in the Northwest, with 2 of those in intensive care. More than 46,000 doses of the vaccine have been administered in the province. Inclusion Lloydminster is speaking out in concern of Bill C-7 and its impact on people living with disabilities. Eric Bay has more.
I'm joined today by Avril Coleman and Stacey Andrews with Inclusion Lloydminster. Thank you guys so much for taking some time with me today. And now you guys are focused on a bunch of things, both locally and nationally. But first, can you take me through what you guys focus on at a local level with Inclusion Lloydminster?
So Inclusion Lloydminster is a nonprofit grassroots local organization that was founded 64 years ago by parents of children and adult children that have intellectual or developmental disabilities. So we've been around our community for a number of years, and we really support and advocate for and with individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities to have a good, inclusive life in community. So what that means is for individuals to be able to grow up at home with their families, for families to have access to the right supports at the right times to support their children to grow, develop, and be a part of their family just like anyone else.
And one of your main focuses right now is Bill C-7. Can you tell me what Inclusion Lloydminster's concerns are about the bill?
Before we get into discussing the bill, I just want to be clear that we aren't debating medical assistance in dying. Medical assistance in dying is a legal right for Canadians, and we fully appreciate that it is a sensitive and deeply personal topic. So our concern as an organization lies specifically with Bill C-7 and the changes to legislation that this bill will bring. So we would need longer than a few minutes to fully unpack this topic, but the short version is Bill C-7 will open up medical assistance in dying to people with a grievous and irremediable conditions, and that has been defined as an illness, a disease, or a disability. So ultimately, a disability will be enough for an individual to end their life with assistance from a medical professional if it is deemed that their suffering is intolerable and unsustainable. So that said, we know that individuals with disabilities are amongst the most marginalized in our society. As advocates for individuals with developmental disabilities. On a daily basis, we are seeing individuals being turned away from essential services and not being provided with the supports they need to live a good life and a life with dignity. So at the moment, we're still working toward the full inclusion of individuals with disabilities in our community, and for them to have the same access and opportunities as anyone else in their day-to-day life. And more than ever, we are seeing individuals and families having to fight just to receive the bare minimum support. So taking all of that into consideration, our worry is that individuals with disabilities who are already marginalized and already struggling to acquire the supports required for a good life within community will now be given the option to just not live at all. And what message is that sending? So as one self-advocate put it, they won't give me a life with dignity, but now I'm being offered a death with dignity. So the question that we have to ask here is before offering this option, have we as a community and as a society done all that we can do to minimize suffering in the first place? and from our standpoint as an organization, we strongly feel that we have not, and that there is still a long way to go.
Now, have you guys reached out to any levels of government, either locally or otherwise? And what have you heard back in response, if so?
We are supporting families to have connected last fall to their respective MPs to bring it to their attention about the bill. And then most specifically the last while, because the bill's sitting at the Senate table, and we've encouraged families to reach out to their provincial senators to express their concern over the bill.
Now, bringing it back here into the community, what other issues is Inclusion Lloydminster focused on here in the Lloydminster area?
We have been sharing information regarding the bill on our Facebook page, and I would say that that's a good place for people to start if they are wanting to learn more. I would also recommend visiting the national organization, Inclusion Canada's social media pages. They've been working really hard to get information out to the public about the bill, and they've got a lot of really great resources. I would highly recommend people watch the testimony videos on their YouTube channel. They're very impactful, and I think they give people a better idea of what's at stake here. So, and as Stacey mentioned, alongside the provincial and national organizations, we've been calling on our networks to contact their local and regional senators with their concerns about the bill.
And if people do want to get in contact, either for more information about the causes or to get involved with Inclusion Lloydminster, I assume social media or the website are the best way to get in touch?
I would say our Facebook page has the most up-to-date information, and people can reach out by email as well, which is info@inclusionlloydminster.com.
All right. Thank you guys so much for taking some time with me today.
A new campaign is asking for the public's help in an urgent fundraiser to purchase a new van for accessible transportation. The Compassion House Foundation launched their official Heal Our Wheels campaign after a collision with their last van, and now they need the help more than ever. We go to Shelby Clark for more.
Speaking with me today is Michelle O'Carey, the CEO of the Compassion House Foundation. How are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you today, Shelby?
I'm doing really good. So for residents here in Lloydminster that don't know what the Compassion House Foundation is, can you explain what the foundation does?
Absolutely. Compassion House Foundation provides accommodations through Sorrentino's Compassion House to women who have to come into Edmonton for cancer treatment, as well as a variety of post-treatment programs and services once they return home.
What is the urgent fundraising campaign that the Compassion House is asking the public for help for right now?
We just earlier this week launched our Heal Our Wheels campaign. Essentially what it is to help raise funds to buy a new van. Unfortunately, on January 28th, our existing van was in a collision. One of our volunteers was driving to our guests to the Cross Cancer Institute, and a driver went through a red light. There were icy conditions which were a factor. Fortunately, everybody is okay. There were no major injuries in the collision. However, the van did sustain about $20,000 worth of damage. Given that it is an 8-year-old van, they did decide to write it off. So we're now in a position that, unfortunately, we don't have a van, but it's become a vital service for us, especially through COVID, to ensure that we're able to safely get women to and from their appointments. And, obviously there's the convenience factor there, but there's also the pandemic and the fact that the women who stay with us are immunocompromised. And so that ability to access private transportation is actually very important to them to keep them safe from COVID-19.
And what is the exact goal for this campaign that you're hoping to achieve other than getting a new van, of course?
Certainly. So our goal is to raise $27,000 to purchase a new van. In addition to that, obviously, to continue to raise awareness about the work that we do out in the community, and hopefully be able to get back on the road, driving these women to and from their appointments as soon as possible. Certainly, if there is a dealership out there that would be interested in coming to us and partnering on this, that would be hugely appreciated, in addition to obviously bringing those funds in the door.
And has the Heal Our Wheels campaign been receiving lots of support so far since this has been launched?
Yeah, we just launched publicly on Monday, and right away, actually, one of our partners in the city, Leading Edge Physio, reached out and said, we want to be the first $1,000 in the door. And so that was really nice of them to kind of give us that bump right off the bat. We've raised about $7,000 now from the community. So I think we're just over 20% of our way there. And it's only Wednesday, so I'm really excited to see how the community has really stepped up to support us, and certainly getting out there with local media and the communities that we serve is so important to us as well. So thank you.
And what has the foundation been doing in the meantime for transporting women while the campaign happens and you guys are hoping to reach the goal?
Yeah, so while insurance was, waiting to have an adjuster come out, they were covering the cost of a rental for us. Obviously, once they've just made the decision to write the van off, we no longer have that coverage. So we did get a small lump sum from them, and we're covering the costs of the rental in the meantime. We did use taxis a little bit, but again, because the women who are staying with us are immunocompromised, the less, potential risk that we put them in being in the public and potentially being affected by COVID, we've really tried to maintain that private transportation.
And can you explain exactly on how residents can help support this right now for this campaign?
Yeah, so you can go online to compassionhouse.org/healourwheels. There's all the information about our needs there, and you can make a donation. In addition to the financial side of it, raising awareness is huge. So if you go onto our social media platforms, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at YAGCHF, and you can share the post there and really just help to spread the word about our campaign.
And is there anything else you'd like to add, Michelle, for residents to know about in the meantime?
No, I think that's everything. We just really appreciate the community support. And like I said, anything to help continue to kind of spread the message and raise awareness is so appreciated.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today, Michelle.
Thank you again, Shelby.
Now we're calling our channel. Take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Still another frigid day out there. It's going to be like that for a couple days. It feels like this week has gone pretty slow for the most part, just because we are seeing those wind chills around that -40 range, and we see it right now with the wind coming in from the west-northwest at 30 kilometers an hour at -44 is what it feels like outside. -29 though is what we're seeing though, but as we look around the area, -27 for Vermilion and Bonnyville as well, -26 up in Cold Lake in Pearceland and St. Paul, -29 down in Macklin as well, -30 out in North Battleford, -27 there for Maidstone, and then we see -27 in St. Walburg and -28 there for Meadow Lake and Green Lake as well. That extreme cold warning still in effect right now, so this map isn't going to change anytime soon. It's probably going to stay like that for at least another couple of days and even into next week possibly. We are going to see those cold temperatures continuing on into the long weekend, where you see those polar vortex type weather and temperatures with all that Arctic air that we've been getting here in the prairies. But as we look ahead overnight, North Battleford -31 overnight tonight, going to that -25 tomorrow. Could feel a little bit closer to that -40 range or just above that. Looking ahead into Cold Lake, -28 degrees overnight, going into -22 tomorrow as the daytime high. And then for us here in Lloydminster, we'll see -29 continuing on into overnight. And then as we look ahead into tomorrow, -24 is the expected daytime high. But with the wind chill, we'll probably get another day where it feels a little bit more like closer to that -40 range. As we look there, -34 is what it could feel like with the wind chill there. It's going to be very cold this weekend as we look at -37 the low for both Saturday and Sunday, and it could be close to that -50 with the wind there. -27 the high though on Saturday, and then -23 on Sunday, and with the wind chill it could feel a little bit more like -39. So unfortunately for the long weekend it is going to be very, very cold, but we'll show more weather later on the show. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. With COVID-19 restrictions in place, many organizations have turned to virtual methods of fundraising. Our Becca Day has more on the SPCA upcoming fundraiser, Magic Unleashed.
I'm here with Becca Lawrence, Community Outreach Manager, to learn more about the SPCA's upcoming fundraiser. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So can you tell us about this Magic Unleashed fundraiser and what it'll consist of?
Yeah, so I mean, we just kind of found out about it last week. A company outside of Saskatoon and Regina contacted us. So it's called Magic Unleashed. So it's a magic show, and basically they're doing it so that all of the SPCA's, Humane Societies in Canada, can join in if they want and sell tickets and fundraise for their SPCA or their shelter, just to help out, obviously, because since fundraising has not been easy this past year.
You did just touch on this, that the fundraiser is able to support several humane societies across Canada, but is there a way to support Lloyd Center specifically if someone wanted to?
Yeah. So we've made the posts on our Facebook page and on our Instagram, and we're gonna get it on our website here right away as well too. But we have the specific link, so it'll take you to Eventbrite, and then it'll either autofill out Lloydminster for you, or if you see a spot that says promo, you can type in Lloydminster, and that makes sure that the money will come directly to us.
Now, what does the money fundraise go towards?
Pretty much everything or wherever we need it, kind of at the most right now. I mean, like I said, like fundraising in general hasn't been very good this last year. Obviously, we've had our main donors and new donors kind of thing too, so we're really thankful for that, at the very least, right? But yeah, so I mean, it's just it's gonna go basically wherever we need it most. But spay and neuter program, sick and injured animal fund, anything like that.
Awesome. So this is the first year for this event, and as you mentioned, it's online.
Yeah.
You've kind of touched on this already, but how has it been adapting your usual fundraisers and even creating these new ones in response to COVID restrictions?
Yeah, it's been really tough. I mean, we've seen a lot of people do things online, so I mean, we're still working on figuring that stuff out as well too. But it's been a bit tough just because you have all those restrictions in place, and so it's really kind of made it tough to have our regular fundraisers for sure anyway. But it's figuring out all the new ones and trying to figure all that. It's been a little bit tough for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people go to get their tickets for the show, and how much are the tickets?
Yeah, so it's just on Eventbrite. So like I said, we put our link on our Facebook page and our Instagram. So you just click on that link and it takes you to Eventbrite. The tickets are $30, so that's good for your whole family kind of thing, like I said. So it's family friendly. Anybody can watch it. And yeah, so it's just like I said, if you click it directly through our link, it should autofill that Lloydminster promo code for you as well. And so that, like I said, that money goes directly to us. But yeah, so you just can do it online.
When will Magic Unleashed be taking place?
It's on February 28th at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Perfect. Is there anything you'd like to add while we have you?
I don't think so. Like I said, it's good for all ages. Yeah, and it's about an hour long. I think the show is as well too. So you can look up some of their videos. They're called Magic Unleashed, and you can go from there. And like I said, it helps support your local SPCA.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Becca. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
A local restaurant is using Valentine's Day as an excuse to thank first responders. Tate Laycraft has more.
Chatting with me right now is a co-owner with Fourth Meridian Brewing Company, and she's here to discuss their Thank a First Responder giveaway. Helen Hoffman, thanks for doing this.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So how exactly does the giveaway work, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, we've been talking about doing some kind of giveaway for a little while. We had a really hard year. Everybody had a hard year last year with the pandemic, and it hasn't ended. It's still continuing to be a difficult year. So we wanted to try and do something to thank some of those people that really put their lives at risk to keep us all safe, and typically have kind of a thankless job a lot of the time. So we decided to do this first responder giveaway as like a Valentine's Day giveaway. And the way they can win is if somebody nominates them on our post, so they can like and share our post and nominate a first responder they know that they really want to see win, and then we'll put everybody's name into a draw to win a $100 gift certificate for Fourth Meridian.
And why was it important to you guys to recognize first responders?
Well, we know we have some we have some first responders that are customers already of our brewery. They're already supporting us, and we just not necessarily a personal connection for any of us. It's just a respect, and we're just grateful.
For people who might want to nominate a first responder that they know, well, where can they go? How can they get involved?
So they can go into social media, either Facebook or Instagram. We have a post on there saying nominate a first responder or thank a first responder. So they can enter on either or both platforms, and we'll put all those names into a draw to be drawn on Sunday.
And before we close, does Fourth Meridian have anything else on the horizon that you might want to talk about?
We love our events. We love to have events, but obviously the pandemic has put a damper on things for the last almost feels like 2 years now, year at least. But hopefully, maybe throughout the course of the year, if restrictions lighten up, we can get back to doing some of the events we love to do. We used to do weekly open mic nights, and we'd always have a packed house and tons of local talent come in for that. And we used to do some outdoor events when the weather was nice, and we'd love to get back to doing some of those things. So hopefully this year will be a little bit different than last year, but we'll just sort of play it by ear and do what we can when we can.
Thanks so much, Helen.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
While most local and minor sports are out of commission, one is finding new ways to keep moving forward. 2 members of Saskatchewan rowing competed in the Canadian Rowing Championships and represented Lloydminster well. Evan Kenny has more.
In past years, this is how spectators could have watched the Canadian Indoor Rowing Championships.
So that's Haley Mercuri, Isabel Froelich from Grimsby, both of Grimsby.
But this past weekend,
and Shelby Lake, they're all within.
The event was held all online.
I think it was a little bit different, yet at the same time, because there's been such an absence of competition opportunity, that this was a great opportunity for athletes to see where they could compare amongst other athletes, as well as an opportunity to perform based on all the training they've done. And there was that excitement for all of the athletes to be able to be there and push themselves, and then to be able to reflect on the results too.
Elijah Lopez and Shelby Lane represented the border city, each rowing in the U19 category. Elijah was able to finish 7th in his race, while Shelby finished 20th. Each recorded a personal best.
It's really exciting. These 2 athletes started under the direction of Andrew Knorr, who is the high performance rowing coach out of Saskatchewan. They started last April under his direction. So to have these results in such a short amount of time has been phenomenal.
Each of the athletes were looking to compete at the Saskatchewan Summer Games this past summer and the Canada Summer Games originally scheduled for this fall. Unfortunately, each event was postponed, but that was taken in a positive way.
I think it's a different time, and for an athlete to have the mindset of, what's the silver lining, what's my new opportunity. And as we said before, Shelby and Elijah are very new to this sport. So to have this opportunity to train with the Saskatchewan High Performance team, with Andrew Knorr, and to be able to develop their skills even a year longer, will put them in a better position to be competitive across Canada.
The Lloydminster Rowing Club will move outdoors and get back in the water in June. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor channel, take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. Still sitting around that -29 mark right now. It does feel like the week's kind of going by very slowly as we're still seeing those temperatures, and it feels like kind of a never-ending cycle of cold weather for us here in the prairies. But as we look ahead out west, also we see some extreme cold warnings continuing on throughout Alberta. -24 for Edmonton, Edson as well. -25 for Red Deer and Athabasca, along with Whitecourt as well. -30s we see in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon and Melfort at -31. -34 North Battleford, -29 in Prince Albert, and then -28 in Meadow Lake, and then -26 is what we see up in Cold Lake. Looking ahead up north right now, we see some cooler temperatures in La Ronge and Flin Flon there at -29 and -28 there. We look at -25 for La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, -21 all the way up north in Uranium City there. Looking ahead to northern Alberta, -26 there for Peace River, Grand Prairie, -25 there for Slave Lake as we look ahead into Fort Chipewyan and Fort McMurray, -20 and -21 there, and high levels sitting at -24. Now looking ahead down south to southern Alberta, also very cold, kind of similar to what we're seeing right now here in the Midwest region. -26 for Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, and Calgary as well, -28 in Coronation, and then we see -21 in Banff. Looking ahead to southern Saskatchewan, a little bit chillier at -31s in Swift Current and Regina. We see also -30s in Kindersley, Yorkton, and Moose Jaw as well, with -28 in Estevan. Now here's a look across the rest of the country. Winnipeg also still kind of in that extreme cold warning as well at -26 with some sun and cloud throughout the day. -7 in Toronto, -13 in Quebec City, with -6 in St. John's and -9 in Halifax. Looking at 0 degrees there in Vancouver as they are starting to cool down over the last couple of days. -20 up in Yellowknife, and as we look into Whitehorse in the Yukon there, -24 with some flurries happening right now. Now looking ahead to tomorrow, we are going to still have that cold weather among us there from that polar vortex. -24 for Lloydminster, Vermilion, and Marwayne. We could see with the wind chill making it feel like closer to -40, around -37 range is what we're expecting. -21 for St. Paul, -23 up in Bonnyville, -22 there for Cold Lake and Pierceland. As we look ahead to areas in Saskatchewan, -25 for North Battleford, as well as in Maidstone tomorrow, -24 up in Green Lake and in Meadow Lake as well. So here's a look ahead to the next 7 days. We are going to have a very, very cold weekend, especially in the morning with that low of -37, and with the wind chill could be much colder than that, closer to the -45 range. So looking ahead into Monday on Family Day long weekend, -16 will be the daytime high, but we are still going to be very, very cold throughout the day. Looking ahead into Tuesday, -15. That kind of will tailor off the week and a half of never-ending cold. And as we look ahead into Wednesday, we're looking at -9 there as our temperatures there, and -8 there on Thursday, back to minus single digits, which should be a nice little change for us over the last couple of days here. But that is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll be right back with more primetime local news. I'm very pleased to be joined with Christina Hayward, a Lloydminster native living in Edmonton right now, who is working on #BeTheChange. So, Christina, I guess I just want to first get into, what really inspired you to not only get off the ground running with this Be the Change, but also keep it going the way that it's going right now?
We actually started handing out backpacks roughly 11, 12 years ago. And then last Thanksgiving, it just kind of blew up and we started with the turkey dinners. And from there, it's gotten huge. But it's not just about, feeding them and clothing them. We're their voice out there. We need to advocate for them.
What are some of those things that you're doing in the Edmonton community right now, I guess, in this present moment to help them out?
We feed over 100 people every weekend. We have a team, 8 to 10 of us, and we just bag them up. We write notes of encouragement, do what we got to do.
One thing that I found interesting about you is, of course, you're not part of an organization, you're not a nonprofit, you're just doing this, out of the goodness of your hearts. So what was really the reason you wanted to be that voice for the people there?
You know what, if you saw what we see out there, it's heartbreaking, and they don't have anybody to advocate for them. We need people to write our MLA and our city council. These people need housing. It's not just about, like I said, it's not about just feeding and clothing them. They need help. They don't have the resources that we have.
What does it mean to you when you hear the gratitude in that community for the work that you're doing?
You know what, when we talk to our inner city friends out there, they're so grateful. And if we don't make it out for 2-3 weeks at a time because of work or whatever, they're like, they worry about us. oh my God, it's so good to see you. We were worried about you. They're so grateful. You know, they're just decent human beings that they need to be understood. They need to be loved.
Back in your home here in Lloydminster, have you been getting a lot of donations from people you know here, whether it's, you know, clothing, food, or money as well? How's that support been so far?
Huge. I know a lot of people. I was born and raised there. I was there for 30 some years. So I have a lot of connections. I have great friends. I have one lady that's joined onto my team. She lives out in Vermilion. So she'll pick up around Lloyd in the surrounding area. And she comes up here the day before we go out into the streets.
And if people, whether they're in Edmonton or here in the Lloydminster area, want to help out or donate, how can they do so?
They can reach out to me by email, message me on Facebook. We're always looking for donations, whether it be food, clothing, blankets, like that's what makes us keeping us going. But we need people to speak out. Like I said, reach out to our MLA and our city council, because the more help we get, the bigger the change we're going to make out there.
Christina, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining us today.
I'm joined here with Kelly Ray, and she is the president of the Prairie Women on Snowmobiles. Now, first of all, I'll get you just to kind of explain some background into the Prairie Women on Snowmobiles.
Prairie Women on Snowmobiles was started 21 years ago by two friends. One was a breast cancer survivor and her best friend. They love snowmobiling, and they figured they would take the sport that they love and couple it with a cause that is near and dear to their heart and raise funds. So they gathered 10 friends together and a couple men, and they started out across the province and raised funds and awareness all across the province. And that's how Prairie Women started. We've been doing it. Mission 2020 was the 20th ride that we had done. 2021 should have been the 21st. Unfortunately, COVID put an ugly stop to that. And over the 20 years, we visited 198 Saskatchewan communities. We've had 164 women join us as core riders. 37 men have joined us as pit crew members, and 25 women have sat on the executive. So it is a club that is all women, except for the pit crew, because, well, we need a little bit of muscle to help get those ladies out of the snowbanks and such. But yeah, it's an amazing event that has happened every single year. It's truly Saskatchewan. And we've raised over $3 million for Canadian Cancer Society, which all that money goes to research for breast cancer. And in the last 7 years, we've been fundraising for the Cancer Foundation of Saskatchewan, and we've raised over $426,000 in 7 years. Through them, we purchase equipment that goes into the Alan Blair Center and the Saskatoon Cancer Clinic, and we also sponsor the mobile mammogram bus. Last year, we purchased the SUV that escorts the mammogram bus and carries the techs around that run all the tests for the mammogram bus.
Wow, that's really amazing. You know, as you mentioned that this year's got postponed because of COVID-19, but what does the fundraiser usually look like?
Well, usually we should have started had our kickoff on last Saturday. We would have had a route chosen. We make 5 stops every single day over a 6-day ride. We average 200 or plus kilometers in a day. The whole trip is about 1,600 kilometers, and hopefully, if the snow conditions and weather allows, the 10 riders do that entirely on their sleds, which is pretty amazing. So these women are tough to do that amount of riding. Each day we stop at 5 different communities. We have pinning ceremonies where we meet survivors and talk with people who have been touched by the disease or even haven't. We raise awareness about early detection of breast cancer, because that is your best chance of surviving this dreadful disease.
This year, if anyone is looking to help or they're looking for information on you guys, where can they go?
they can go to our website at www.prairiewomenonsnowmobiles.ca. We also have a Facebook page, Prairie Women on Snowmobiles. We salute you. There's lots of information there. On our website, there is a link for virtual riders. So we are doing a little bit of fundraising. We can't do what we normally do because we can't be out there and we're not allowed to have big gatherings and such. So you can still donate through our website. You can also contact me or any of the executive to pass on a donation to help support either Prairie Women on Snowmobiles, the CCS, or the CFS. And we will, at our AGM, any funds that we do raise, we will disperse them just like we normally do. Unfortunately, it won't be as much as we normally have, but every penny counts. And every penny we raise is one more than we had yesterday. So yeah, you can still help. We're still here, and I'm still available for questions. And on our website is also your application for riders and executive and pit crew applications for next year.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
Taking one last look here at your weather forecast, -24 heading into tomorrow. And as we get ready for that long weekend, we are going to see temperatures dropping, maybe even with the wind chill, possibly close to that -50 degrees Celsius range in the morning on Saturday and Sunday there. -27 the high there on Saturday, -23 the high there also on Sunday. We start to kind of warm up a little bit-ish as we see there. -16 as the high there for Monday. We could see that extreme cold warning continuing on into early next week there. -15 the high there on Tuesday. Then as we get into Wednesday, we are expecting, still some sunshine and some clouds, but -9, which has been a while since we've seen some single minus temperatures there. -9 there for Wednesday and -8 we are expecting there for Thursday. We usually average around this time of year. -7 is our daytime high, and our average low, is -17. So we're almost in the home stretch here of very cold temperatures over the next couple of days here. So by Wednesday, Thursday next week, we should see back to normal, the average temperatures.
Joining us on Primetime Local News, we'll have more after the break on CITL.